ladies. Today we're going to talk about gutters. It's one of those things that we all know we've got to have, but we don't really know that much about it. And I personally have a lot of problems with mine. So Rick Mabry with Gutter Gutters is going to help us out understanding gutters. So Rick, what are gutters supposed to do?
Gutters are actually on your house for several very good reasons, and unfortunately they're not for fun. There's only two things that will really damage your house, and that's wind, which you have no control over, and water. And so gutters are up there to help contain the water and make sure that it goes to where it's supposed to go. There's a ton of water coming off your roof. You have to catch it, and you have to get it away from your house, essentially 4 feet away from your foundation. Especially in the wintertime, if you're throwing a lot of water around your foundation, freezes, thaws, that's where you start to get a lot of your basement leaks, foundation cracks, some real expensive problems. But that's what gutters are designed to do, is to get the water away and get it away cleanly.
Would it be fair to say that if you see that you're having water problems in your basement, you want to take a good look at your gutters?
More times than not, most of your water problems are from outside your house. They're probably coming from poor gutter flow. The main thing with gutters is they have to be clean and free flowing. It really doesn't matter what size gutter you put on a home, whether it's a 5-inch gutter or a 6-inch gutter. As long as it's clean, the water will get out and go away from your foundation, go away from your fascia board and your roof decking, all of that kind of stuff. If your gutters are clogged, they're going to back up and overflow. And if they're overflowing, you're getting a lot of water where it's not supposed to go. What will happen when a gutter gets clogged and it gets backed up, water's approximately 8.5 pounds a gallon, and your gutter will hold a lot of gallons. Most gutters are held up there with something very simple, like an old spike and ferrule, or like a hidden hanger. And what they will do is, once they get clogged up, you're filled, it will start to pull. And unfortunately, even if you go clean them, it doesn't spring back when the load's released. So you've pulled, and now the water is not necessarily getting into the gutter properly. It's probably going back behind it, might be spilling over the front of it. But once again, you're letting the water get back up on your fascia board, up into your roof decking, and you're also spilling water down next to your foundation. So you got to keep them clean, you got to keep them free flowing, and keep that water going where it's supposed to go.
But I'm not real happy about getting up on the roof cleaning out gutters, and I imagine most women aren't. Are there things that we could do to limit that activity?
Unfortunately, it's not gender specific. Nobody likes getting up on a ladder, and nobody likes sticking their hand in that gunk that's up there. So truthfully, what you really need to do is consider some type of gutter protection. And some of the things you'll look for, Pam, are how tall, how high are your gutters?
Okay.
Are you just trying to keep a few stray leaves out? Or do you have a magnolia tree that's leaning right over the top of your gutters?
Right, like I've got this tree that's leaning right over, so I get a ton of leaves.
You get a ton right there. So the solution that you have right here on the back probably could be a different one than what you have on the front, where you don't have all those leaves coming. So there are a lot of different options to solve it. I'll be glad to show you some of them.
Oh, please do.
They start with some of the real do-it-yourselfers. Most folks have seen these type of screens. We call them screens and cheese graters. This is one of the most popular ones out there. You can get it in any hardware store.
Okay.
They cost next to nothing, and they clip into a gutter like that.
Okay.
And just kind of pop back up underneath a shingle, and theoretically, nothing gets in. If you have very much significant debris, it's probably going to stick to this. It's probably going to go through the holes. There are some drawbacks to it, but if you're just keeping out some stray stuff, this can be a very effective solution. From there, you really get into some of the more sturdier material. This is one that happens to be called leaf relief.
Okay.
But it fits into a gutter like that, screws into the front. This is really strong, but you can see it doesn't have any angle to it, so it's going to retain some of it a little bit longer than most. If strength is more of an issue, this is a little kind of a step up from what we've seen. There's some new stuff that's out there, the foam.
I have seen that.
And it works on a similar principle. It's going to fit inside a gutter like that. And again, theoretically, nothing but water will go through here.
But you still could get some stuff just sitting on top of there, really.
It does, and kind of start to work its way down inside the foam over a period of time. Again, there's some limitations to this, but you're moving in 2 years. Well, you're going to take a shorter term approach than somebody that they've moved in the house and that's where they plan on staying for a while.
Right.
So depending on what your goal is, you can move up into the sturdier stuff where you start to get into the caps that will actually fit over a gutter like this. Some of them go back up underneath your shingles.
Where's the water going?
Well, the water will come down the hood, make the turn, and go in the gutter, which is pretty nifty.
Yeah, that's pretty nifty. Okay.
So this does an excellent job of keeping the crud out of the gutter.
Okay.
And depending on the pitch of your roof, it can, in certain circumstances, do a nice job of getting the water in the gutter.
Okay.
We call this the complete solution. It uses a bracket like that to actually hold the gutter if you want to try to break it.
That's pretty significant. Okay.
Super strong.
Wow.
But you can see a couple of the cool things about it.
Okay, see the piece in there.
Very, very strong. Most important, it actually has gutter all the way up the back. There's not an open spot between here and here because you don't want to create a damp, dark, moist place on your home that no sun or wind gets to.
Gotcha.
You don't want to create the recipe for mold and mildew. One thing we didn't talk about that's actually really important is the downspouting.
Downspout, okay. Yeah, I've got a situation with mine.
Yep. You have the old 2x3s.
Okay.
And what you'll see is that you don't get the full 6 inches of evacuation here because most people put a little insert in it that closes it up to about that big. It doesn't take much to close that hole.
Hold that up, yeah.
So anytime you're doing gutters, you always want to make sure you're working with at least a 3x4 downspout.
Okay.
Makes a huge difference. You don't want to put an insert in there. And
You want to leave it as open and free-flowing as possible.
that's exactly right. Use a free flow cutout, don't create a bottleneck.
Well, thank you, Rick. I appreciate all this information. And ladies, now you are armed to be able to determine whether or not you have a gutter problem and what you should do about it. So thanks a lot, Rick.
Thanks, Pam.